Welcome to Joe's Astrology, and today is Wednesday, April 3rd, 2024, and the solar eclipse is tomorrow, I believe, or in the next couple days, so I'll be talking about that in this video. We have Moon in Aquarius, which I might talk about that as well. Still have Venus, Neptune in the conjunction. If you haven't seen my other videos, I just did a video on my last video on Venus and Neptune, the Venus-Neptune conjunction. And I apologize if I look like I just woke up or sound like I just woke up. I do these videos early in the morning for now. And I'm also going to read about solar eclipses from this book here that I also did a video on, the best astrology book ever. So check that out if you haven't. So let's get into the solar eclipse. So first, personal story, which I kind of hinted towards I'm sure I hinted towards it in another one of my videos. I had during a solar eclipse, I had a positive and a negative expression of what I'm about to read. And the positive was I'd been working on getting a job for a while. That actually it never really went through, and it wasn't something that I think would have been hard to get. But in this case, I wasn't getting it, and I was also trying to move. And so this particular job, when the solar eclipse hit, I'd finally got it. It was out of my area, so I would have had to move a couple hours. And that was the positive of the eclipse, that it was going to spark this new beginning for me. I was very excited about it. It finally come through. And then the negative was I actually had a long-standing eating disorder that I was partially unaware of. I also had anorexia, which I was definitely unaware of. And a lot of the symptoms that I had, I didn't know what anorexia was. And I'm also going to do a video on this in the future. And I'm also going to show my birth chart and go through my birth chart at some point. So if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, stay tuned for that, because that is going to be, I think it's very interesting. Not that I'm a very interesting person, but from an astrology standpoint, I can really dive deep into the chart because it is my chart, and I will do that. So yeah, back to this idea that, for it had to be a number of years that I had these things going on, and I had sought out help, and I would consider, possibly misdiagnosed. During all this time, I never heard the word anorexia. I think I was mentioned. A friend of mine had mentioned it, that I had seen him just one time, and he jokingly said it to me in this like kind of going back and forth, but it wasn't like a serious sit down or anything like that. So I don't even think he really knew what he was saying, or knew the real truth of the matter. It was kind of like a joke. But yeah, that's an example of something that was long-standing, that was really coming to a head. It was like, okay, you have to deal with this, or you're going to be in trouble. And I had already had that happen as well before, but it wasn't. It wasn't the same. It wasn't as bad. But in this case, there was no real. There was no getting away from this. You were going to have to sit down and face this for a number of months, which I may get into that story as well in a video specific to that. But that's an example of the negative and positive, and I'll read here what it says in this book about solar eclipses. and it's going to talk about lunar eclipses as well. So this is when a lunar eclipse occurs, our personal and private life journey can pivot on a dime, and that's what occurred in my case. Uh, we can be taken by surprise, but in reality, a lunar eclipse brings the already building undercurrents to the surface where we are forced to address them. It can reveal circumstances and relationship issues that we may have had a feeling about but have so far ignored, downplayed, avoided, etc. Eclipses can be positive catalysts. The lunar eclipse could bring life circumstances to a long sought after mountain's peak and a potent time of circumstances ripening. Whatever is mobilized will spread with great force. If possible, avoid travel for a few days either side of an eclipse. Again, the actual eclipse dates can produce events, but they are also launch points. Eclipses hold influence over a duration of time. It refers to a completion of consciousness, an important time of restructuring. As the viewing and reassessment occurs, the eclipse catalyst also prompts the creation of new programming at the soul level. The eclipse finds the soul poised at an important threshold, one that advances a new reality and energizes new creations, new life for the soul. And just at a mundane level, that just came to me that this idea of uh, an important time of restructuring. You know, for a while I don't really have a great setup here on my computer. I have a MacBook Air that I'm working from, and I have a lot of documents, a lot of the books that I've read, and books that I'm interested in reading are on there, and it was just complete chaos on my computer. And I'd finally bought this little mini drive to organize my files, and I began organizing them as of yesterday. So just that idea of, from like, you know, simple mundane level, that I'm idea of restructuring and um, you know, finally doing something that I wanted to do for a while, to organize my life. So yeah, that's from this book here. The title of my other video that I have is The Best Astrology Book. I think it's the best astrology book ever. So yeah, Moon in Aquarius. I have Moon in Aquarius, and I'll just tell you a couple quick stories of mine. It's been said that Moon in Aquarius will do things or say things out of pocket, out of the ordinary. It's a little bit unexpected, and I've even had somebody comment on my channel that my channel was different, and you could possibly look at my channel as being a Moon in Aquarius person uh, making a YouTube channel. And it's kind of weird because when I have moments where I do say things, where I have said things, and especially after becoming aware of this, and I would say things or do things that are that people found awkward or that may be awkward. Um, Being conscious of this Moon in Aquarius, I'm like, as I'm saying it or as I'm doing it, I'm like, wow, that's definitely Moon in Aquarius, and here I am doing it. And then it got to a point where instead of, because you could feel the embarrassment, kind of you can feel being like, I used to get embarrassed or I feel embarrassed, and then it moved towards not being embarrassed anymore and just knowing that I'm doing it and not giving a fuck, and just being entertained by the whole thing, which I think is a healthy point to come to, just an acceptance, because I'm not really wasn't anything I was doing wrong. It was just more or less the other person isn't really doesn't really think it's funny or something like that. So it's just interesting transition there between Moon and Aquarius, kind of feeling awkward, and I guess what's the term, coming into being comfortable in your own skin, being comfortable in being a moon in Aquarius. And I still, and now at times I notice that I won't say anything. I know that I could. I have more control over it, and I just won't do it because I know it's just um, it's going to make the other person uncomfortable. And when I was younger, it didn't play out as much like that. It was more or less me being very rebellious and being just a little asshole about things. Like, for example, when I was in 8th grade, I think it was 8th grade, 7th or 8th grade, I really wanted to leave Catholic school. And during the time when it really reached a peak, I was walking around telling people that they should go to public school. And so I'd be walking down the halls and telling them how bad Catholic school is and how they should go to public school. And because I wasn't getting what I wanted. And there was one good Catholic girl who had tell on me, and I had to, in order to not get expelled, I had to apologize in front of her whole class. And I had a friend in that class who was also, I don't know, he just disappeared, but he was probably a moon and an Aquarius type person. He was very rebellious, very cool guy. And he was in that class, and I was like totally embarrassed that I had to do this in front of my friend he was younger. So I kind of thought I was like, someone for him to look up to. And I had to do that in order to not get expelled. And that was totally a moon in Aquarius as I was younger, when I didn't have, I wasn't as in my head or intellectual or something, just more or less being a kid, having fun when I was younger. But yeah, that's moon in Aquarius. I think that's a big one. A lot of people who have moon in Aquarius can relate to those two things, the idea of being rebellious and also saying things that are out of pocket in front of people. And I think I'm going to leave it at that. I will talk more about Moon in Aquarius. I'll do a specific video on Moon in Aquarius at some point. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Check out my other videos. I have hundreds of videos on birth chart analysis, and we'll do a lot more videos on astrology. And I hope you have a great day.